Hi guys, Luke here again. Welcome to part 3 of our little running series. Today we get Jesse back into the clinic and we get him back on the treadmill and start to have a look at some of the data and some of the feedback on our slow motion camera. The big trick is we've got a whole heap of information that he's been logging on the Run Scribe for the last month, and we want to get him back up on the treadmill and compare some of that initial data that we saw when he first came in. After that, we introduced some of the little running techniques and cues, and we want to have a look and see if that's become second nature and see if that's made any difference or change to his technique, and whether or not he's getting better results or feeling better out on the run. So we caught up the other night down at Pure.
Yep.
We got through a few things. I guess one of the big things you were saying, your cadence improved and you weren't having any issues. The main thing, what we're going to do today, the main thing we're going to have a look at is some of the angular positions to see if those have changed over that period of change that we've gone through over the last couple of weeks. One thing I noticed looking through your Run Scribe stuff, so you started off really good with your cadence stuff.
Yep.
I've noticed over the last couple of ones that you've logged, so I think you did a 20k run and then maybe a 16k run. Now, whether that be fatigue setting in or whether you're not concentrating on it at all, but it's sort of dropped back down to the 160 stuff. What we want to try and do is get to a point where you're not thinking about your cadence. And the only way we can do that is it has to start to become second nature. So the more that you do it and the more you start to think cadence, 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 after a while it becomes second nature and you just forget about it. Last time we talked about you being a bit too compliant.
Yeah.
Now what we mean about compliance is, think about a spring and that spring's compressing a little bit too much. So some of the things we talked about was improving your stiffness. So trying to get you to run tall. What we should see, if those things are starting to happen, is we should start to see a bit of a change in some of those measurements and angulations there. So we've already seen pretty well straight away that by modifying your limb length difference, we've been able to improve that. And you haven't had any back pain or anything like that. It's all been good. Great. So I'm going to get you running try and get yourself into that rhythm. Get comfortable, get natural. So, new running style on the left, old running style on the right. So one of the things that we talked about was overstriding and trying to bring your stride and your foot position back to more underneath your hips. But if you have a look at that distance there, each one of these lines here represents 10 centimeters. We know that your cadence has improved, so your overstriding has improved, your cadence has improved. The other thing that we can start to have a look at, angle that your upper leg makes to your lower leg. And that's what we call your knee flexion angle. So when you're running and you're too compliant, you get too much flex in your knee and you lose forward momentum. So that's where you start getting that bounce, okay? And that what we call vertical oscillation, or going up and down too much. Now, looking at that, again, compared to this one, but looking at your actual, if we ignore the stripe on the pants and we look at more so at the position of the knee, to me, that one looks a little bit straighter. Finally, we look at the ankle and we look at the flexion or the position or the angle that the ankle makes. I don't think that's changed that much at the ankle. I think if we look at the ankle, the newer running style, you might have a little bit more flexion on that left ankle compared to the right. But the bigger stuff, knees and hips, you're certainly a lot stiffer. We've got this now as a baseline.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we can keep that and look at that in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, 12 months' time. It makes finding those issues a lot easier because we've got how you run, we know how you run, and then you get, you may develop an injury, you're coming back from injury, and all of a sudden we're seeing a big pelvic drop or, a big hip flexion, or you've gone back to that overstriding sort of habit. Hi guys, well there you have it, our 3-part series of how we treat an elite runner. Jesse's come in and we've followed him through right from implementing his changes to his training program right through to the end where we followed him up and made sure that everything's going well. That's not the end for Jesse. We will follow him up in 6 months and 12 months and keep a close eye on some of his results in the future. And listen, that's not the only type of athlete we deal with. We deal with park runners, we deal with mums coming back from pregnancy wanting to start getting fit again. If there's anything that you need to know about getting fitter, avoiding niggling injuries that you may have been having for a long period of time, getting over an injury that you constantly get, we can help. All you need to do is give us a call and we can have a chat about your goals and how we can be a part of fulfilling those goals and reaching those goals. And hopefully we'll see you out on the trails sometime soon.